don't we start maybe on that note, I guess. So
Sure.
welcome, Alyssa, and
Yeah, thank you.
Alyssa is also Ish. Are you Ish? Are you Jewish? Are you kind of Ishy? Are you really Jewish?
I'm really Jewish, but
Oh,
I
yay.
celebrate an Ishist kind of house. I have a Hanukkah tree, Christmas bush up.
Yes.
My husband is not Jewish. I have three daughters. They're being raised Jewish. Um, so yeah, and they can make the decision when they get to that point in their life. But I feel it's very important to be raised with something.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Whatever it might be, as long as it
Whatever,
benefits.
whatever, whatever it may be, just to have a source of other sense of community somewhere else.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And so, to our listeners and to our viewers, we have Alyssa Bauman on the show today, and we are really happy to have her as she was actually one of the first people that reached out to us. Guys, we have people reaching out to us already. Like, who would have thought? This is crazy. And Alyssa was mentioning that she's also a connection to Janine Burley, who we had on our show about a couple weeks ago now, and she's awesome as well.
Just on
Powerful.
Instagram, we don't get to hang out or get to really chat too much, but it's funny. Sometimes you get to connect with people on Instagram, and you get to connect, and sometimes you just get one another. So hopefully,
Yeah, well, I think
people can make connections. Online right now especially right now, is really important. And Genevieve, sometimes what she says really resonates, especially when she was talking about her family and whatnot. So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, she's so easy to connect with. And Genevieve, I mean, I don't even know her that well, but just having met her that one time, I felt like I knew her for years. She's just one of those people, and it's
Love
not fake.
people like that. I love people like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally,
yeah,
It
totally.
doesn't happen that much, it doesn't those type of, you don't meet someone and have that instant connection. But when you do, those are the ones that you want to hold on to, right?
Very much so, very much so. And no
Yeah.
matter how busy she has been, how infrequent we might see another, unless if I'm having a treatment from her in her office, there's always that unconditional love and support from the very first time we connected when I was in my yoga training, you know?
Very
And
cool.
and so these are the people that we are and that we wish to foster and continue growing the network of Getting Juicy and
Yeah.
Mhm.
whatever comes that's bigger than what Getting Juicy is, what's
I
bigger than
love Getting
either
Juicy.
of
I just
us.
I love the title of it. I think it's so fun.
Thank
Are
you.
you big into yoga, Euro?
Yes, I'm a big yoga teacher, but
Oh,
just part-time at the moment due to the pandemic and the
yeah.
the forced closures. So, but I
Yeah.
was teaching yoga and Pilates full time, and it
Okay,
was
where about?
I was teaching at the city of Burnaby through the Bonser
Okay.
Recreation
Okay.
Complex. I was
Okay.
teaching about 12 to 15 a week there, and I was
That's a
able to
lot.
sustain myself. So,
Amazing.
yeah, so plot twist for all of us in COVID, but still
Oh,
maintaining some online
yeah.
and some in studio opportunity. Yeah.
Well, good for you. I mean, it is a master pivot, isn't it?
It is a master pivot in
All right.
adaptability. Rachel and I both have had to go through a lot of different transitions, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's how. I mean, and we're totally. I want to know more about you, though. we kind of just barely started, and then we started
Yeah.
Geneve. But
Yeah,
Hero, continue your introduction, please.
yeah, sure. So, Alyssa, please feel free to chime in if I'm either not elaborate enough in what I've read about what you are doing and what you continue to do, and also to specify to our viewers and listeners more specifically. But my understanding is that you have a professional background in health and nutrition and wellness and mental health when it comes to how it correlates to food and natural lifestyles of people in our current generation, and through your website and additional subscriptions and services and plans that you have created, which I think are really well done, in my opinion,
Thank you.
educating people on how they can be self sufficient and sustainable within a healthy mindset and a healthy lifestyle,
Mm.
including being a media contributor to CTV. And I believe I saw City TV. Is that
City
correct?
TV, CBC,
Yeah.
Global,
Yeah. Which is
most of the
incredible.
immediate, Vancouver media. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is incredible.
Yeah, it's great. I
Yeah.
think you just pretty much, nailed that perfectly, actually.
Awesome. I'm glad I could provide that.
Yeah.
And so when you reached out to our channel and we were corresponding by virtual through tech through writing, I really definitely got a genuine and sincere kind of like right to the point delivery from you. And I really appreciate people that are upfront and just like, hey, this is who I am. I think I'd be the right fit. I think I'd be a good contrast or complement to what you're offering. And I'm the same way when it comes to whatever I might want to do with being an ambassador or an influencer to whatever I might want to connect with. So I really saw that right away. And I'm really excited to learn more about you and how you got interested and developed what you came to today. You know, where did everything start from?
I wasn't always a health nut at all, actually. I started this journey. I'm actually a native New Yorker. I moved to Vancouver 15 years ago. My husband got transferred, and when I was living in New York, I was a writer for some magazines. I did some freelance work for the New York Times. I was a senior editor at Wear magazine, and it was amazing because I had the keys to the city. You know, I was like 21 years old and I had the keys to the city. I ate out every night. I did restaurant reviews. I did bar reviews. I did Broadway reviews. I did spa reviews. It really was the golden ticket.
Wow.
So I was out every night and I definitely was not eating healthy, nor was I drinking my hot water and lemon like I do now. So not only did I feel my health take a little bit of a toll at such a young age, but at the same time, my sister, who also lives in the city, her son was going through some really serious health problems at school, and he was very little. He was in kindergarten, so he was between 7 and 8 years old, and all of a sudden, my sister called me frantically saying that, you know, her firstborn is just got diagnosed with ADHD. And at the time, I was single. All I did was work. I pretty much worked 20 hours a day. So I just said, there's no way that he is ADHD. There's no way. I know my nephew, and we lived really close. And you know, I was with him all the time, and it was this amazing, nurturing thing that we had. But there was no way. And my sister got this call from the headmaster at her school, and he was like, you know, I want him to go see all of these doctors and play therapy and, you know, doctors that would prescribe him medicine so he could kind of just chill out and fit into the mold that he wanted to fit into. And my sister was like in tears. And this was before Whole Foods and before, you know, eating healthy was very trendy. And at the time I was, you know, writing about the things that I was talking to you about. But I was also very interested in food, health food. So I said, no way. So I really ransacked her kitchen, her cupboards, and we got rid of everything. You know, it was like string cheese and Velveeta cheese and, you know, fluorescent yogurts and Eggo waffles, not to call anybody out or anything. But it was really a very highly processed food diet, which was his daily, right? He was eating nothing but processed foods. And not to blame my sister at all. We just kind of didn't know any better at that point.
Totally.
So I revamped his diet completely. And, you know, I did everything just through research that I was doing because I have a ton of research skills. And slowly but surely, well, he didn't eat for a month because he didn't like the food that I was cooking him. But that's okay. I kept with it. You know, I totally kept with it. So if any parents are listening out there, your kid will eat if they are hungry. He eventually started eating. And not only did he start eating, but he eventually started to thrive. He was now like, you know, running at gym time, listening. He was first in his class in some type of like preschool math that they were doing or kindergarten math. I forgot what it was. So much to the fact that the headmaster then called my sister again and said, I got to know which doctors you sent him to and what he's doing and what he's taking because this kid is shining. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I was like, I knew it. I knew it so much that at that point I was starting to change my career and I was looking to go back to school to get to nutrition. And I really saw firsthand the healing powers and the benefits of food. And if you give your body the chance, it can heal itself. And now this kid he's still thriving. I mean, he still eats really well, but he's, you know, at this point he's older and he's an older teenager and he's doing amazing.
It sounds like you were almost at the forefront or very early on understood the connection or the correlation between the gut and the mind and the brain.
The mind. Yes, I was. And at that time, we didn't know nearly anything about, you know, healthy gut, healthy brain, healthy life.
Yeah.
So that was really fascinating. And there was lots of articles I was reading about that at that point, but there was nobody was talking about it the way people are talking about it now. And it's just, it's so important. And it is, you know, it fueling your body and fueling yourself properly is 100% like one of the baselines to helping you live your best life. I mean, there's a couple, obviously it's not only food, but I would say food is up there in the 50%.
Totally. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I don't have children myself. I do have a little nephew, but my close girlfriend has a little one who was diagnosed on, I don't even know if there's a spectrum with autism anymore. Is there a spectrum? I know they've changed certain things.
They've changed it. I think there still is a spectrum, but now, you know, Asperger's is a little bit more common.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, my point is that once she actually did adopt this, you know, just watching everything he eats, cook for basically like everything that he puts in his mouth is what she's basically made, because she can't seem to find much in the grocery store anymore that's not, has some sort of additive or whatever it is. But as soon as he adopted that diet, he's like a different person.
Oh, wow. Oh, I've seen it. Yeah. I mean, it's the thing is, which I find so fascinating, is that people are so resistant to that because that requires work. And it's really interesting. So good for her for, you know, it is work. It is a dedication to, you know, make everything like that and do the research, but it pays off in the end. Absolutely.
Well, and she had to be an advocate for her kid, right? It's kind of like, or that we have to be advocates for our own body and we have to, ourselves, and
advocates, detectives, you name it. We have to, you know, and not everything that is good for me is going to be good for you or good for you. And it's a chance to discover what works for every body, every individual body, you know. And that brings me to, there are some things that do work for everybody. You know, this whole gluten-free train thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy gluten-free. But what does work for everybody is leafy greens. And this is kind of the foundation of my program is leafy greens, clean proteins, and whatever that means to you. I mean, I don't label things. I eat mostly a plant-based diet, but if you want to eat meat and you need to eat meat, well, then you eat meat. So when I say clean proteins, that maybe that looks like a piece of wild caught salmon or something, and healthy fats. So those are like the three pillars that I base my diet around and my meals around. And that works for everybody. I haven't found, you know, anybody that those three things don't work for, unless you have some severe bowel issues or things like that. But the majority of people see benefits when they focus on eating those three types of foods.
Right.
Makes total sense. And again, as you're talking about sensitivity, gut, and brain health, I mean, I had a stage 2 adrenal fatigue when I was in my early 20s, and had to go through my naturopath, who really saved my gut. And after a month of following their suggestions, just adding in a few things that I knew I couldn't live without, which were not that big of a deal anyway. And it changes your brain, changes your mental health, your skin,
changes your mental health,
changes your anxiety, your depression. It changes everything. And even though my brain's still fucked up, but I love myself for it anyways, it was so
that makes you you. That makes you you.
That's my point. You love who you are.
Yes.
You can be yourself that much more fully because you have been able to rewire enough of your intake of nutrition to help benefit your output. And that's exactly, you are what you eat.
You are what you eat. And you know, on that note, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, because I think people get really scared when they think about lifestyle and diet because they have to follow it all for nothing. You know, I tell my clients, it's like, you know, it's an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you eat your plant-based whole food diet that you know fills you up and makes you feel good and makes you feel, you know, your best that you can be for that day. And 20% of the time, I love pizza. I'm from New York. I want my pizza. I'm going to eat a slice of pizza, and I'm going to sit down and I am going to savor it.
Yes.
Or, you know, I'm going to celebrate my daughter's birthday, however that may be for her. I'm definitely not going to have birthday cake or whatever that indulgence is. I mean, what am I teaching my 3 daughters if mommy is not eating birthday cake? So I just feel like when people are constantly restricting themselves, and labeling food, whether, that's a bad food or that's a good food, all of a sudden we're missing the entire thing, because restriction really paralyzes. So I love, like, my mission here is to teach people how to be healthy, and then also teach people that it's okay to indulge.
Yeah. Well, and if you're Jewish, you got too much guilt anyway. You don't need more guilt.
Yeah,
Yes.
guilt is a wasted emotion. I didn't get that one. I didn't get that. I don't know. That passed over me. Maybe I was so guilted when I was young that I just that passed over me.
It might be very well. But on that note, I've got to ask, do you have any Holocaust ancestry in your immediate family or your past generations?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not that I know. I'm sure somehow my grandparents grew up in the Bronx, so they're first generation Americans. Yeah. My great grandparents, they must have been, because they're from Poland and Russia, but nobody really ever talked about it. It unfortunately wasn't a story that was ever passed down to me. God, I wish it was.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think Hero just asked that question as well, because we've got a very special episode coming up next week with a generational trauma specialist from New York, from
Mount Sinai Hospital. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Just because there's a bunch of things Hero and I have in common, teaching yoga, but also both being grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. And then, anyway, I'm guessing maybe that's why
are your grandparents still alive?
My grandmother passed away prematurely from metastasized kidney cancer. Metastasized kidney cancer in 2009. So about 11 years ago now. And then my grandfather on my mom's side is actually alive and very healthy.
That's amazing.
My father's parents, as far as I know, are healthy and alive, but definitely my dad's dad is pushing mid to late 80s, and there is not much connection, if any at all. So I'm not sure how he is doing. But yes, one ancestor has passed away that was part of the Holocaust for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, you think about what we're going through right now, and it really is nothing on what happened during World War II.
No.
I love reading about it. I mean, I just The Nightingale, The Tattoo Artist of Auschwitz. Those are two of some favorite books of mine.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's neat that you said you have the connection to New York, because New York is one of I'm not a traveler.
New York. Yeah.
New York.
Yeah. Yeah, I can put my accent on if you want.
Oh, you don't have to put your accent on, honey. It's all good. But I got my grandmother who passed away, her brother went to New York for school and stayed in New York and got married. So I have my aunt and uncle once removed in New York, and my cousins once removed in New York. So that's my connection. So I love the fact that you live in the city and you're from Big Apple, because it's an amazing place. Yeah,
I miss it. I miss it like crazy.
Yeah.
Vancouver's a beautiful city too, and a much easier way to raise children. So I'm very grateful to be here. Miss New York, and I miss my family, especially now, because I haven't seen them in a while.
No kidding. And have you connected with them at all in the last little while through what's happening, and are they managing as best as they can?
They're doing as my brother-in-law, Matt, he owns bagel stores in New York City, Zucker's. They're probably the best bagels in New York City. Nice. They're doing okay, and he's pivoted a little bit, as we all have, and they're doing okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. I actually did go home in October, and then I quarantined when I got back. I just had to do it.
It's needed.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Family is family.
Family is family. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious about your correspondence with CT and some other media outlets.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a regular correspondent with them, or?
Yeah, I'm a regular on CTV.
Awesome.
But it's been a little strange the past couple months, obviously. So we've been doing some segments in my kitchen, so that's been really fun. Try to get the house all organized and cleaned up by 8:00 to be on air with a fresh face of makeup and 3 kids, lunches packed, and off to school is a little hairy, but we have done it.
Wow.
But so we do lots of seasonal stuff. Summertime we talk about bloating. Now coming up we talk about, healthy New Year and what you want to bring into your New Year, and how you want to incorporate more health and how to go about it. So yeah, CTV is great. Also used to do a lot of work on BTV and CBC too. So
Awesome.
media is fun. It's funny because, you know, it all corresponds to all your careers kind of collide. I actually went to Boston University for broadcast journalism.
Wow.
And then when I worked at Wear magazine and did some freelance for Time Out and New York Times, I did a lot of, you know, styling of food photography. And then, you know, here I am. I have my own website, and you know, I do all of my own styling when we're on set and whatnot. And it all is so interesting how all of your things you used to do, previous things, and when you know, get older and you realize what you really want to do, it all kind of comes crashing in, colliding. So that has been very cool to see.
That is so cool. And also, again, as you pointed out, we are a reflection of our past experiences, and we can bring all the knowledge of our life experience into what we do now. And even if it doesn't relate, especially when it does relate. So when you connected with the media outlets and CTV and CBC, was that something that was presented to yourself, or was this something that you approached, or was it a little bit of both?
It was a little bit of both. I remember when CTV first reached out to me, it was, maybe 13, 12 years ago. And there was a problem with arsenic being in rice. And they wanted a media expert, a nutrition expert, to talk a little bit about arsenic and what it is. And then there was arsenic in apple juice and arsenic in baby formula. So it was kind of like a bit of detective work. So that was really cool. And then BTV, a very good friend of mine, Jody Vance at the time, was doing, she was anchoring that show in the morning show, the breakfast television. So I started cutting me on regularly with that. Just again, talking about, you know, seasonal things, you know, summertime things, how to eat healthy, anything, you know, ditching dairy, you know, superfoods, what are they, you know, you name it. We kind of made up an amazing segment about it. So yeah, it was exciting. It's something I wanted to do, and it manifested.
That's amazing. So I'm just wondering how, and you kind of touched on this maybe a little bit, just how some of the differences that you've had to adapt to, I should say, during the pandemic, pre-pandemic. So how has your business changed, or what have you needed to do to keep it afloat?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, well, I don't see people face to face anymore. Like I used to see lots of people face to face. But now I really offer, you know, Skype support or Zoom. Actually, I just did a group. So I have group calls that I do. So right now I have 2 10-person group calls, and it's called the Nutrition Dive, and it's basics.
Cool.
So that's been great. I also, in March, I relaunched my website with these new programs that I'm offering. So that was a complete COVID baby.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my COVID baby, because my website completely wasn't, you weren't really able to shop on it the way you can shop on it now. So, you know, if you're looking at 2:00 in the morning and you feel like something resonated and you want to get healthy, you can buy it, purchase it, and basically you can just get started, because I have something called the A to B Foundation, which is a 4-week online nutrition program.
Yes.
Go at your own pace, do it how you want. Every week there's a theme that you can follow, and it's basically to really help add bring healthy habits into your lifestyle. So week 1 is adding greens in. So it goes to build on it. And if you take more than, you know, 4 weeks, no big deal. Take as long as you want. Yeah.
And I guess, and maybe a follow-up question to that, have you noticed perhaps people's needs have changed? Like, are they needing more mental health support than they did before? Or do you offer anything like that? Or is it, I mean,
well, we start with nutrition. So, you know, for me, because I am a nutritionist, I start with the basics of the food that you eat. And then what I see is in my clients, both in the group clients, both in my private clients, and also both on my online programs, because I do take assessments. So I do know the people that are taking them. You know, I don't know them like we're not talking, but, you know, a little bit through emails and whatnot. What I notice is when people start to change the food that they eat, and they start to just focus on becoming more healthy, they focus on other things as well. So food, yes, is the catalyst, but usually what happens is it is a snowball into bigger pictures. And I'm a holistic nutritionist, so I take a holistic view. So once we kind of have the food down, and I feel like my clients have really established their healthy routines, drinking their green juice, really, really filling their plate with that leafy green and the clean proteins, they start to change and they want to start talking about other things and the other pillars of, what I feel is my baseline for health. So it's really interesting to see how when you change your diet, so many other things change.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely. One thing that I think about as well is kind of like when I pull back to the idea of yoga, and I see all the time, even when I wasn't a teacher, but I just worked at a studio and saw regular people that would take classes every day. You see their mindset change. You see their discussions you have with them change. You see the way that they present themselves to change. It's pretty amazing whatever you get connected to change something that might be your normal patterning and wiring, how it really impacts the rest of your life and the people that are around you. And that's a perfect example you just gave about nutrition and what you put in your body.
It's fascinating and profound to see the transformation. And just as, food, yoga, I practice yoga every single day. And, when I don't do it, I miss it. And then I don't do it, I notice a difference in my mental stamina for the day.
100%.
My husband is like,
is he laughing?
Showing off his body.
Oh, can I see?
Because he practices yoga too. So I think,
yeah, you got a keeper, girl. You got a keeper.
I have a keeper, yes.
Oh.
So it does go hand in hand. And I like to say, it's a baseline, right? What is your baseline that helps you feel and look your best? Mostly feel, but where is your mental stamina coming from? Before I did yoga, before I meditated, I was like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like this, but at least I'm more slower like this.
Yeah, Rachel, I can definitely attest to that for sure. Even for me right now, though I am quite level and neutral in my life pretty much, well, actually surprisingly during the pandemic, it even got better.
That's amazing.
Which is weird. But as far as like walking through and stuff, like I don't have to physically practice asana for my body every day to be able to instill the teachings or the mindset of being in a yogic being. But when you do tune into the body and whatever we connect to with the practice, both on the physical and the energetic level, you can't compare that. It's just something that we have a greater awareness to be attuned to.
It's very interesting that you said that, because you said mindset, and it really is. And this is something that's difficult to teach, but when I see the profound changes in someone's mindset when it comes to food, like all of a sudden someone could say to me, I just need help because I just can't stop eating sweets. I love sweets. I love sugar. I'm just using that as an example. And all of a sudden, they don't need sugar anymore. And like they could look at the case, at Starbucks or wherever you are at Prada Cafe, and there's all these beautiful cookies. It's like, don't even want that because I know it's not good for me. And when I see that shift in someone, and I'm sure, as you just said, you see the same shift when you're practicing yoga, or you're seeing one of your regulars practice yoga day in and day out. It is just a mindset, and it can be applied to across the board.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, and it's not even more of the physical. It's like you said, it's the mindset. Like the changes that I've seen with yoga practitioners or students, it's always been a glow or something so much more than physicality that I'm seeing that's changing. It's like it's like their shoulders are back, their head is held higher, they're walking through life more confidently, and then
alive. They're alive.
Right.
They're present.
And then beautiful things start to happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like this just happened to me, and I had been, thinking about it for a long time, but now I'm really open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it. And it's like,
and once you get it, it usually sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like hard to teach, because it's like someone having a dog and say they love dogs, but they don't really know the love of the dog until you get the dog, right? It's like once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
So it's and I love to see that, because you could talk all you want about it. It's just a tweak in it's a teeny shift
It is.
that changes everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah.
Totally. No,
Yeah.
and you're right though. I mean, I just think about when I'm walking on the street right now, and sometimes I forget, I don't know why, but people will look at me, and it's, of course, we're humans. We look and we observe each other, and I'm very alert of everyone around me because of my own safety, and I like to observe people's energies. But even with a mask on, it's very interesting when I see people look at me, and if they're not wearing a mask, that they smile. Just something so
Yeah.
subtle like that,
Yeah.
and just a sense of acknowledgement, or they pick up on something that your spirit is radiating through whatever they're going through, you know. And maybe that's not it whatsoever, but there's just that instinctual feeling of, did I do something, or
Right.
is this person picking up on some frequency that I'm just emitting because I naturally am just trying to show up with enough radiance without being inauthentic,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
crazy what people can pick up on.
Well, it's funny because
Well, yeah, it is crazy, but it's a gift. If you're able to tune into it, it's an absolute gift. My girls laugh at me. I have three daughters, and they're 10, 13, and 16-year-olds. So when I talk about the universe and I talk about putting it out there and I talk about, the energetics of food, you are what you eat. And when I talk about, meditating and being still, and I make them do gratitude every single night, they think I am like this woo, 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 woo. And I'm just like, you just wait. I guarantee, you just wait. This is all going to come back to you. I guarantee.
And actually, maybe this is for parents out there, because I know Hero and I both are not parents, but
yeah.
What are moments that you've noticed, any not advice, but anything maybe you've said to your kids or anything where they really had like I hate using the word aha moment.
I know, but the revelation, the epiphany, we're all searching for the epiphany and the revelations.
Or at their age, because I know it's hard to get that through the mind of a teenager.
My teenagers think I am just so weird. They roll their eyes at me. I got my incense on and not all teenagers, but mine, I don't know why, that's how they are. I asked them to come and practice yoga with me, and they like, no, I don't like yoga. And then, I get surprised. My 16-year-old daughter rolls out her mat, and I walk into her room at 6:30 in the morning, and she's not doing yoga. She's stretching. Meanwhile, she's in downward dog. I'm like, how is the stretching going?
Yeah.
I won't say anything. I'll just be quiet. But how is your stretching? So I think, and most parents know this, but, you lead by example is the best thing that you can do, is just be a role model, be an example. So the aha moments, that was a moment when I was like, okay, something's getting through.
Yeah.
Something's getting through. But, especially during, this time, I did some online meditation with Jaybird and did some online meditation. And there was one time Ariel had on a woman she was a child psychologist, and we were doing meditation together. Literally lit the incense, put the candles on, went upstairs to the space that I created during pandemic, which is my closet, to do this with them. And we were sitting there like it was a seance, the four of us, and they were all giggling. And I'm like, come on, shh. But I made them do it. And did they get anything out of it? I don't know. I don't know, but maybe they're just not there yet or receptive to it. But I know, just like food and just like health food and just like nutrition, that they are definitely picking up on it.
Yeah.
And I guess one last piece of advice for parents is, I think practicing gratitude is really, really important. Having them just find one thing that they're grateful for every single day. So we close our nights by one thing of what are you grateful for? And my 16-year-old is like, really, Mom, do I have to do this? She has half her earbuds in and half them out. I'm like, just give me 5 minutes. What are you grateful for? And she'll, roll her eyes at me, and she'll be like, just you, okay? You. And I'm like, no. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I know you just want to get rid of me. So really tell me, and she'll stop and she'll sit and she'll think about it and she'll tell me. And then, I close the door and she's writing in her journal. So it does get through. It does get through.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to add on to that, what Rachel was asking you, in terms of, and maybe it's different now with with COVID. I get that, but how do you notice yourself amongst other parents that are maybe in your peer circles or with school settings, even if it's high school? I get that, but you know what I mean? Like, what have you noticed in terms of contrasts and similarities with other parents that have children, and have you had discussions with them about similar topics, or is there a difference of mindset or viewpoint about health and raising your kids, raising your teenagers
Well,
that way?
my friends are my inner circle. We're all of the same mindset. I have lots of friends that are in health and are super conscious parents. So my circle is very much interested in the evolution and the growth of their children and getting them through this as best as possible. I mean, what I've recently just noticed in the last, it's a thing, cell phone use and social media. And yes, this is not news and it's not pandemic stuff, but I've really noticed an increase in kids really needing to connect through social media. And I don't think it's healthy. And we all know that. I'm not saying anything, but now, I never really saw it affect my oldest daughter before. And just recently I'm seeing it and I don't like it. And, really what I'm seeing is how people present themselves on social media, Snapchat, most particularly for 16-year-olds, and then really how they are in real life at school and what like that. And that really makes me sad. Like, it really makes me sad for my children, for this future generation, because these kids are hiding behind screens. They're literally, and we're victims to it too. I do it too sometimes. It is a hell of a lot easier sometimes just to text. So let me just do that.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing is they're cultivating their friendships through screens.
Yeah.
And what they're presenting is not necessarily who they are.
No.
And that's what I'm seeing I don't know if my daughter is doing that. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I could hope not. I'm not going to be an ignorant mom saying, no, that's not what she's doing. But I'm seeing what her friends are doing. And because I am with my daughter a lot when she's on her social media, and she's not a big scroller on Instagram. My 13-year-old doesn't have any social media. She doesn't want it. And my 16-year-old is, since pandemic, much more active on it.
Yeah.
So that's worrisome for me. It's really, that's what we're talking about right now. That's kind of for their own mental health. That's really what we're seeing that. And it's, what are you supposed to do? You can't take this stuff away. You can't, because, they have to learn how to navigate it because it's not going away.
Right.
The cell phone usage is not going away. These platforms are just going to become more and more and more advanced. And it's something that you just watch, and I'm constantly talking to her about, like, that's not real life. I'm sorry that happened. But then I'm like, well, that is real life. That's her life, right?
Yes.
So I guess you have to really just continue the dialogue with your children at all points. And, my kids are like, okay, here comes the talk again. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that I make it that obvious, but this is something that has to be brought to the table and we have to discuss it. It's not real life. This is not who you are, should just be who you are. You're not a light switch the minute Snapchat goes on. It's not an up and down thing. It's you are who you are. Present yourself who you are. Mm-hmm. Who do you want people to see you as? That's who you should be. That's who you are.
Yeah.
Be who you are.
Yeah. But I have to chime in about that because
again, I have something to say too. I'm like, go ahead.
No, but here's the thing with my social media and how I've always led my life and my brand, or however I come, people always say, oh, you could be doing all these different things. And I don't need to give examples. And I'd say, yeah, I could be, but you know what? That's not who I am.
Right.
So I don't care if my social media tiles look like it's an archival thing, even if it could affect my brand business, my following, my presentation, whatever it might be. If people want to connect to what I'm providing, regardless of how thorough or how translatable it might be, and I learned little tricks around how to present and like frequency. And of course, there's all these refinements. But the general point is if someone really wants to know who you are as a person, they will take the effort to find out who you are. Yeah. As long as you have an account,
yeah,
you will know your name, and they want to actually dig. And if they don't, then you make that choice to have maybe a smaller platform, a smaller following, and maybe not as viral. But the people who follow you actually follow you because they actually care about who you are and what you're putting out there. And that's a choice you make.
It's not about the number of followers. It's about your engagement. And it's really, I guess, about the quality of what you're putting out and what you're getting back, right?
Yeah, your content and your response. Yeah.
I hope that's actually seems to be more the case these days, which is good. But I remember even when I finished my teacher training, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, and even at that time, it was like, especially I'm just going to say the women were really telling themselves that if they weren't this star yoga teacher, you know, with their leg up way past their head, wearing underwear or like a freaking thong on their Instagram for yoga pictures, that they were not going to be successful.
Correct.
And this is what we as adults were a learned behavior that we thought was reality. And this could open a huge can of worms, or like a big conversation about just how we portray ourselves on social media. But it's not just women anymore, it's men, it's the labs, it's the, you know, but
the fitness industry, especially the wellness, the fitness, yoga, health food, all of that on Instagram. I mean, that's the problem, right? That's the problem, that you're not doing, you know, you're not doing, what's the craziest pose? I don't know, in your underwear.
Right.
You're not doing scorpion naked. Like you're not doing it in a thong. Like, oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Or I have a belly, and like, what the hell is wrong with a white man having a belly, and mental health and a tons of other fucked up shit, but being vulnerable, and that's not popular. But what the fuck's your problem, dude?
Or
like, you know my point, right? It's just like, how do we evaluate that?
I'm dealing with so much cystic acne that this is a whole other thing. But I'm even like not
wanting. Your skin looks great. What are you talking about?
No, it's. I'm hiding it, but anyway. But this is my point. Like, it's, you know, we need to be airbrushed. We need to, and this is something that hasn't really gone away since the Twiggy and like magazines,
Vogue magazine. It's just elevated, right? It's just now it's elevated because everybody can be airbrushed. You know, everybody can use those filters.
Yes, exactly. The only thing that I can think of, and there are, you know, countless things that we can look at that are really good moments. But for example,
there's good moments.
But imagine, like, again, the first female with Down syndrome to be a high fashion model down the high fashion runways. And I think that might have been a couple years ago. But that's one thing that automatically, it's like, okay, here's something that regardless of tokenism, regardless if it's like the first person, that's progress. Something like that's progress, you know?
And I mean, there's lots of benefits to it. I mean, anybody can pick up their phone and find a healthy recipe. Anybody now can pick up their phone and do yoga. So there's definitely, it's a great tool, and we know that. We just have to figure out how to, you know, teach the next generation how to use it in a way that they can find their aha moments or their epiphanies, back to that, instead of the judging and trying to be like something that they're not.
Yeah.
And go on, Rachel.
No, I just actually want to ask a question now, because with you, like your social media, your Instagram account is amazing. Like so that you don't fall into that, you know, beauty queen kind of, like, what do you do to be successful on social media?
Thank you for that. I find Instagram a struggle. I found it's like all algorithms. I can be putting out great content and I could not get many responses. So how do I manage that personally? I put something out there and I check it once a day, and I don't continue to check back, because that changes my mood.
Yeah.
Someone didn't not like something, or maybe just comment back, you know, so I put it out there and I just let it be. I think the algorithms, I think, are really another game that you have to play, which I haven't done. I have lots of pictures, like my own pictures, and then I also have some visuals that I get made in the brand color, so my grid is pretty, but I kind of mix it, you know, whatever's happening naturally, and also whatever I have that has been manufactured. I'm not talking, you know, my face with makeup on, but I'm talking, and then airbrush, but I'm talking about, you know, pretty visuals, quotes and things like that. So it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. It is, and it's exhausting. and it's also,
if you let it be. If you let it be.
That's true.
Good point.
We have to be able to, you know, post something and then just
Leave
Yeah.
it.
Leave it, just let it be. And if it does something, then that's great. If it converts someone into getting to your website, that's the point of it. And then that person, as you were saying before, Hero, that person can learn more about you if that's what he or she wants to do, right?
Yeah, well, again, the algorithms are one thing, your reach is another thing, your key performance indicators are another thing. There's all
Yeah.
these, it's a business of social media and a business of digital marketing or digital engagement specialists. But,
Oh, and it's completely manufactured now. It's not what it was. I mean, I don't even know how long it's been around for, but and then there's endless things. It's now there's reels and the stories and it's just it's an evolving monster that is someone else's programming for us.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, you guys, I'm sure, watch The Social Dilemma, right?
I haven't, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Though. I know what it is. I definitely would be something to watch.
It's just not healthy. Let's go back to health. It's just not healthy. But it's something that we all have to deal with, and it's something, especially for our children, it's not going away.
No.
And
it's how you have your business these days, especially now.
Oh, well, that's how I sell online mostly, right?
Exactly.
If someone wants to find me and get a gift certificate for the holidays, which I have new offerings for, that's how they find you on social media.
Yeah. Because with Rachel and I find it's really a big it's a big importance in terms of, yes, our generations between Rachel and I are about 9 years, but we grew up both on the cusp of before most of these things really began. I would say about maybe 7 to 8 years ago, perhaps, where it was very viral. It was very accessible. Your cell phone had everything that you needed when you were only 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like I had my first cell phone when I was 12 or 13, but it was a
wow.
flip phone, like that was when I had my first
Hero,
cell phone.
you and I are definitely not on the same, like, I went through, because whereas about 10 years, I'm 10 years older than Hero, essentially. Okay. So I feel like now, just listening about your children, Alyssa, like I feel pretty lucky that I didn't have to deal with all that shit. Like,
yeah. Oh,
there was bullying on a different level. There was definitely bullying. I was bullied in elementary school. There was different kinds of bullying. Being gay or queer or trans was not a thing.
It wasn't a thing.
So there's a lot of different things that you dealt with at that point. But I had a pager when I was 18.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, but yeah, on the cusp, like, I mean, I can't, Hero, you said, I mean, you had a cell phone, like, yeah, there's just different generations for sure.
Sure. But what I'm referring to, though, is that the cell phone I had was, yes, I could call and I could have some text messages, but it wasn't like I had a smartphone until I was maybe, God, when did I get my first iPhone? I must have been maybe in like grade 9, grade 10. So yeah, still in high school, but there wasn't a huge Facebook community. There was no Instagram. There was no Twitter. Like Instagram or Snapchat and TikTok were not a thing. YouTube was only starting to become right. Like that's my point. So yes, there is a progression from Rachel to my generation, but what I'm referring to is that generation now that's in your children's generation that they have a phone by nature at like 8 or 9, to have a social media platform on all the accounts when you don't even really, no offense, you don't know who you are yet.
No way. No, I mean, and everybody, every teenager, develops who they are at very different ages. I'm very worried for them because it's going more virtual. Everything's going more virtual, and COVID has even, has expedited this even more. I mean, these kids are taking classes in like virtual reality and things. And I'm like, why is that useful? Why is a virtual reality set even, why would anybody buy that? And it's like one of the most trending toys on for the season right now.
Wow.
Right. No, you're right.
It's just like, what, but like, why are we doing that? And then, okay, COVID comes and now these kids are connecting online through like Fortnite. Not to say there's anything wrong with this, but that's how these little boys are seeing their friends. Yeah, they're isolated, they're alone, and they want to play with their friends. Okay, well, it's genius.
Yeah, that's how I grew up. I was a major online massive video game player and had connected with
Wow.
people internationally because I had no social skills. I grew up with like nonverbal learning disorders. That's how I learned to communicate, was online.
Mm.
It's the same thing, but now even more modern technology and more instant technology and a lot more different platforms and games for these youth and teens to communicate with their friends, as you said with COVID, because
Yeah.
there's distancing in play and you can't see them in person. So
Yeah.
one way or another, it's like pick the poison that best serves you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and are your kids going to school right now? Are they homeschooled? Are they going into classrooms?
They're in school full time.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I have their, how old are they? 5th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade. They're in school full time.
What has it been like for them, both from their perspective to
Yeah.
you and then your perspective from their perspective?
When everything was in lockdown in March, just like everybody else, staying at home at first had a great novelty. And it was fun, especially for my 2 older daughters, because they would finish up their work and they would do other things. They would paint. One of my older daughters really got into working out, which was an amazing vice. Like she got herself fit and got her confidence just being, strong. They painted, they did all sorts of fun things. They did craft projects. My house was a DIY lab. That was great. And that was until about May, which was totally fine. Not great for me because it was really hard to get anything done in the house. My husband was working from home. We live in East Van. It was like there was a lot of chaos. And my younger daughter, 10, she was 9 at the time. She was having a really hard time learning online. Like she just wanted to get it done, check it off, submit it, and be finished. And she didn't like the back and forth banter, like the how are you, what are you guys doing? And Zoom, she had Zoom brain. So now that they're back in school, they are so much happier. They are so much happier. They get to see their friends and, they are much happier. I mean, I'm not a great homeschool mom. Just going to say it. It's not something I'm good at, and it's not something I need to be good at. Love my kids to death, but like homeschooling, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm just hopefully, I just hope they stay in school now.
Now, how are they doing mentally speaking? Are kids feeling the pressure or the
Oh yeah.
well, like I can't even imagine.
Like for instance, on Monday, Bonnie Henry was on, and I was picking up one of my daughters from school, and she's like, can we just not listen to her anymore? Can we just turn this off? It was the 3:30 briefing. She's like, can we just shut it off? I'm like, of course we can. But I was listening to it because I wanted to see, the numbers changes, are restrictions changing? And I was like, yeah, let's just turn it off. So no news, we're COVIDed, like we are COVIDed out. We don't even talk about COVID anymore. I just say, you got your mask on. There's a case of COVID in the senior school where my daughter goes to school. And I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. You be safe. These are things that we have to deal with. And if we do get it, we'll deal with it. So just do the best that you can do. My other daughter, my youngest daughter, who has a crazy amount of empathy, we give homeless food. We give food to the homeless. My oldest daughter works in a restaurant. And she brings home, I'm not going to name the restaurant, but it's a fast food chain, but she brings home food because they're actually just throwing it out. So she is also a big environmentalist. So she brings home bags of it's all pre-wrapped food. So we take that food and we go onto commercial and we go downtown Lower East Side and we kind of give out the food. It's all pre-wrapped. It's clean.
Yeah.
And my youngest daughter is just so petrified, not out of like, being downtown amongst, the homeless people. She's petrified that we're going to get COVID. Like she's petrified. I'm like, honey, we're handing them food. We're not kissing them.
Yeah.
Like we will be fine. Like we're fine. She's like, please, we need to be careful. I'm like, it's just too much in their brain, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is the biggest, craziest, so sort of like a social experiment, really. I mean, I hate to put it that way. I mean, wasn't orchestrated to be that way, but it's
becoming that way. And now with the vaccines being pushed out at record speed is another crazy thing to even think about.
Well, you know what though,
Yeah.
and this is again, as Rachel likes to say, this is opening up a can of worms, and there
Yeah.
is no so-called right or wrong. But given the
Yeah.
fact you're talking about health, you're talking about nutrition, you're talking about holistic health, what are your perceptions or insights about the vaccination process in general, but let alone with COVID?
I wish I was a doctor. I really wish I was a doctor, and I really wish I had the fortitude to go back to school at 45. I just don't. My daughters are always like, go be a doctor. I'm like, do you have any idea what that means? The schooling. I wish I knew how much I loved medicine and health and mental health when I was younger, when I was going into school, because even though I don't think at that time I thought I was smart enough, I know I'm smart enough, and I should have been a doctor, shoulda, coulda, woulda. My general, pre-thoughts of this vaccine is that it's done pretty fast, and I feel also like it's giving everybody some sense of false hope that once we're all inoculated, and we're all going to get inoculated, then everything's going to be fine. But I was telling, I don't know who I was having a conversation with, but these pandemics are going to be, this also isn't going away.
No.
COVID may go away, but there is going to be more of this because of how we are treating ourselves internally, and then out externally treating the planet.
Yep.
So it's really the shift has to really has to come from within, and it has to start by everybody taking care of how they feel.
Yeah.
All said.
100%. This is something that not totally on what you were just talking about, but if you could name one, and I'm just going to use this term because people understand it, superfood. What's your number one? Like, what could you live without?
What could I not live without? Oh my God.
Or that you would suggest that most people shouldn't live without.
Okay, well, I make the best green smoothie, and I make it I drink it every single day. I make it like 3 times a week. It's spinach, cilantro, because I love cilantro. People either love it or hate it. It's frozen pineapple, it's ginger, it's lemon, it's celery, and it's a cucumber. And I blend it up with coconut water, and we drink that every day. And I love that. I can't live without that. When I don't have it, my body craves it.
Huh.
I also, since COVID, have elevated my coffee, and it's like I live for my mornings. Like, I am in bed at 9:30 because I want my coffee after my yoga, and it's Nespresso coffee, a teaspoon of maca powder, which is an adaptogen, a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder, which is another adaptogen, cacao powder, and collagen. And I mix it all up in a container, and then I take 1 big tablespoon of it. Then I run my coffee through it, and I sit and I savor this by myself. It's super quiet. It's about 6:20 in the morning at this point. And I just sit with it, and I have one of those, and it is my daily ritual, and it's my heaven. Yeah, you have to try it. You have to try it.
Person, so that sounded like heavenly to me.
It is. If you like mochas, and if you like a healthy, hearty hot chocolate, this is it. But I haven't tried it with drip coffee because I have those little Nespresso machines. So what I do is I take a teaspoon of it, and then I put a little maple syrup in it, and I make a paste, and then I run it through, and it is just like, I think it's on my Instagram if you wanted to see it, but the recipe is just, it's like my ritual in a cup.
Oh my God, how incredible.
Wow. Thanks.
Both amazing.
Well, they're both the recipes you can find on my website, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, and as we are approaching kind of near the end of the hour, one thing I would love to provide an opportunity for you to share, kind of inform some of the resources, some of the links that people can find you at, what they can access, and anything else that we haven't talked about that you want people to know.
Thank you so much for that opportunity. Well, I just, so I finished my website. It's new, and it's improved, and it's beautiful. It's much more user-friendly. So you can go to nourished.ca. And I'm sure, as you guys know, it's always an evolving thing. So it's nourished.ca. And just for the holidays, you can go and you can buy gift certificates for the people that you want to gift health to, because I really honestly feel like we all have enough stuff. Nobody needs any stuff. We have everything we need. If anything, COVID has proven that we just need our health. So I'm selling all my programs, the 4-week nutrition program, the A to B Foundation, which we talked about online, something called a monthly motivation, which is a monthly hit and a spark to get you re-inspired. And you can buy it either for the month or subscribe for the whole year. And then you can also purchase individual sessions with me. So you can just do that online, and you can buy it for yourself, or you can buy it for whoever you think needs health, and it goes right to that person just with one little email. So with that, I hope people are inspired and motivated to really, change the way they feel one bite and sip at a time, because it's not as complicated as we all see it. And as the media has made nutrition out to be, it actually is quite simple if you put some mindfulness and some intention into the things that you do. I constantly ask my clients, how are your habits serving you? Are they serving you? If not, how do you want to recalibrate so they do serve you? And I talk a ton about habits on Instagram, and you can reach me there at Nourished by Alyssa.
Perfect. I mean, and what is a better time to do this? Because most of us are cooking more at home. We're doing more things at home. So this is like, if there was ever a time, it's so ideal.
It's a perfect time. Yeah. And in fact, your health starts with your hands in your kitchen. You're more connected to your food. You're more connected to yourself. It is the most important thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I have an amazing sweet potato curry latke recipe.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
Oh my God.
Because Hanukkah's tomorrow,
Yes, I love latkes.
My sister and I we're going to make potato latkes. Well, maybe not potato latkes. We'll make sweet potato latkes.
Sweet potato curry. It's amazing.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my God. Because I've done like yam and beet latkes. I would love to see like a cassava root latke, like just do all the different root vegetables.
So
and
good.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with potatoes at all. But if you wanted to change it up a little bit, check that out. It's on my website.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm so excited.
It was so nice to chat with you guys.
Yes. And we have one last little tidbit that we'd love to ask. And you might have an idea. You might have already answered it though.
Okay.
You kind of did actually, but maybe in addition, if you were a fruit juice, what would you be and why?
Oh, if I was a fruit juice, where'd you guys come up with that question? That is juicy.
It is super juicy.
Does it have to be fruit, or can it be a vegetable too?
Because I can be any kind of juice.
Well, I drink green smoothie every day. I also love watermelon juice. I love watermelon and basil together.
Yes. Oh
but
my
if
God.
I was to be a juice, I think I would be a turmeric juice. That's what I would be.
Amazing.
Sour, bitter, but sweet.
Girl, woman after my own heart.
Right?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alyssa. Super awesome to chat with you, and
so nice to chat with you guys
again, and your community and everything. And we will do our best to help support you however we can.
Thank you. Same to you guys. I love it.
Thank you so much.
So lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.